The first album that I bought was Kiss Alive at Bob's Records, and then I saw Kiss in 1976 at the Forum. The ticket was $14, and my grandparents raised me, and you would have thought that I was asking for money to buy a house next door to my grandparents, the way that my grandfather treated those $14. I mean, they said, listen, man, we're going to sell this ticket if you're not going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I think I was in ninth grade. I'm going to go. Just hang on to it. It's $14. He finally gave me the money. We went. And we ran out of gas on the way home, coming down the last off-ramp, and we left his Volkswagen there. There was 6 of us in a Volkswagen, and we walked the 1.5 miles to our homes. I saw Tim Allen at the Indianapolis Comedy Connection in the late 80s, and he had a Showtime special, and he was up there, and he was doing the putting the power tools, and it was right before Home Improvement. Everything that he had in his act was in his show. And I remember looking at him thinking, I don't think I have any of that. Wasn't necessarily a prolific writer. And then at Caroline's in New York, cut to 94, Dave Becky, who was at 3 Arts, came to see me because I met him at the Improv in San Diego. And he had become an agent. And he says, when I see you, man, I don't know anything about you. I don't know what you like. I don't know what you don't like. I don't know anything about your family. I don't know anything about you. Because you got to find stuff in your family. You got to find, is there someone in your family that you could, that's close to you? So I'd be my grandmother. Well, write about your grandmother. And that night I walked back to the Mayfair house in New York that's not there anymore. I didn't leave the room the rest of the week other than to perform. And in that torn down hotel room, I created what would 8 years later would become my show. And every character in the show was a person or a time in my real life. And if it wasn't for Dave Becky giving me that advice, I don't think I would have found that on my own. June 4th of 1979, I was still in high school. It was a Monday. I graduated June 11th. I think all my friends knew that I wanted to be a comedian. A friend of mine, Ernie, who I grew up with, went to Kennedy High School. And at Kennedy High School, they had a guy there named Don Nielsen. And Don Nielsen was going to the Comedy Store and performing. And Ernie brought the school paper and he said, look what this guy's doing. We ought to think about doing that. You ought to think about going over there. So we went on May 5th, 1979. I went to the Comedy Store. They let you in if you were 18. You couldn't drink alcohol. The first comedian I saw was Yakov Smirnoff, who was great.